Hey, everybody. This is Laura from Healthy Carnivore. My light looks funny. Anyway, this is what's going to be. Um, I'm going to go over a little bit about myself. So, if you like the information that you hear on here, please hit that. If you want to subscribe, you can hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. Sometimes it lets you know I'm live, sometimes it does not. And of course, if you find any of this information useful and maybe somebody else would get some benefit from that, please do share that out. I do appreciate that. First, I'm going to say hi. Hey, T. Meaty Mondays. Brenda says good evening. And Simpson says, hey. And then she says hi to you guys. She didn't really say hi. Oh, I guess she did say hi, Laura. Okay. All right. So, a little bit about myself. Hey, Maria or Marla. Sorry, can't read. Need glasses. No. Good to see you on here. Hey, Kat. I remember. Yes, you did remember. That's excellent. Uh, I've got to, they'll have to go to message. Um, there. Okay. I sent them a message. Hey, Sandy, how are you? Let's see. She says, started my new job in my new state. Excellent. Good for you. Hopefully, all goes well, smooth sailing for you. So, I am a registered nurse. I have been doing nursing for over 23 years. In 1991, I weighed in at 313 pounds, was actively seeing a doctor who was giving me not great advice. And I kind of went out on my own after he tried to put me on statins at the age of 20. And did a lot of old style research through all the medical journals, books, veterinarian journals, and books as well. And basically stumbled onto what you would call keto. I went off of anything that was processed, any white breads, pastas, rice, sugar, everything. Anything that had been milled, messed with at one time, I did not eat. And I did that for 26 good years, where it's all clean, what I shot, when I deer hunt, fish, things like that, and what came out of my garden. At 27 and 28 years, I decided that, hey, all this keto stuff that's in the grocery stores looks really good. It looks like Oreo cookie and it looks like whatever else they had. That was usually the one that got me, even though I don't even like regular Oreos back in before, which is crazy, but I really like those Quest bars. And so I destroyed my gut over that 2 years. I did a lot of keto cooking that called for guar gum and maltodextrin and all these additives in there that just destroyed my gut. If they don't destroy your gut, great. I'm happy. I don't want anybody to go down that road. They did mine and caused leaky gut syndrome. I had all kinds of issues that came from that. I had not developed anything like Hashimoto's or some other autoimmune. Mine was basically joints, anxiety, depression, very bad OCD. Um, also, cystic acne, things like that. Also started into menopause right about that same time. Yay me. And so really bad cystic acne at that point. Wasn't I had a lot of brain fog. I wasn't able to really work out as long and as high intensity as I like to do at that point. So rolled across, sitting there on the couch, crocheting and going through my phone, and came across the Joe Rogan podcast, which I had never seen before, anything about him. And he had on this big, bulky guy, which turned out to be Dr. Sean Baker. And as I listened to him talk about carnivore, I was like, mind blown. This is what I need to do to heal myself. So very first day of February of 19, I started on that. And I did that consistently up until 22. Then I even went cleaner and did the lion version, which is ruminant animals, multi chambered stomachs. And I found I do my best with that. I am somebody that has histamine issues if I do like store bought chicken, chicken eggs, especially the whites, pork, things like that. I really don't tolerate, and I don't feel full when I do eat those things. I'm like, I can, like I did hindquarters, chicken hindquarters here probably a month and a half ago with my husband. and I mean, it was like that much. It was huge amount. And literally, as soon as I got done, I was like, I'm gonna make a hamburger. Like, I literally made, like, half a pound of a hamburger because I was like, "That didn't do anything. It didn't fill me up. It didn't keep me satiated." So I just went ahead and did the, hamburger. So for me, that's what worked. And then I also went to very high fat. So 80% fat, 20% protein. And I found that that worked the best for myself and a lot of the clients that I work with. You'll see on the bottom of the screen, I do have a website that I do work with people on. I also do have tallow products that I make that are natural, don't have chemicals in them. They're very inexpensive. I basically do them at or even below cost, but I just want those to be available. I also do holistic herbal, elderberry, dandelion, oregano with black seed, those kinds of things also. Because I want to keep you out of the doctor's office so that you don't have to have me come into your home and take care of you. I want you to be able to take care of you before you get sick. I'd like to prevent as much sickness as possible. So that is what I do. Okay, let me see. Let's see. Coach Eden says, "Hi, Laura. I left Kilt's live Zoom for this." Awesome. I'm going to be on Dr. Kiltz's live on Thursday. Yes, Thursday. It's going to be 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, which I think is 3 p.m. their time, which I think is Eastern Time, but I don't know. Don't quote me on that. And I think it'll be me and Dr. Nelson, I believe, unless Dr. Kiltz pops in. But that is, I'm going to be on there. So I will see anybody that is there. Oh, well, thank you. Sharon says hi. And Janice says, on time tonight. Excellent. So, tonight's discussion is going to be over the best fats for the human body. Okay. I like to go in, I listen to the people who watch this. They come up with ideas, things that they want to have me go over, do some extra research, those kinds of things. So I always go over something every Monday evening. That's what I do. Sometimes it's a disease process, sometimes it is all kinds of things. It could be medication side effects, it could be herbal things that I see that work, things that I've done. It could be a myriad of different things, but this was somebody had asked me to talk about the fats. So this is for anything ketogenic. Okay. Now, if you're eating the standard American diet, I do not recommend increasing any of your fats because you have a lot of inflammation in the body. If you are going to a ketogenic type, lower carb, that's when I recommend upping your fats. Okay. And I do like the high fat once you're doing carnivore, if you're doing that to try to get some healing. Glad to report I am like 5 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, 5 weeks of being able to eat a half a cup to 1 cup of El Ruderai yogurt with A2 milk. I can make it with A2 milk without that casein. I've been lactose intolerant my whole life. Still can't eat cheese, but maybe someday. So we are seeing some improvements with this. So I'll go over the what I was able to find out there. Okay. So ribeye fat, which is called muscle fat, it is very high in stearic acid and oleic acid. Both of these are very, very healthy, especially like you can put the lotion that I make. It's basically for the body. I make a facial serum that's very pure that does not have the animal oils in it, lots of castor, lots of jojoba, things like that. That's very good for the acne and stuff, is or even old acne scars. But I do that. But you could, I do have people who buy the lotion and they put it everywhere, face and everything. So they're both of those types of acids, the stearic and the oleic acid, are very, very good for your skin. And they are actually more easily digested than some of the other fats. Another fat you maybe have heard of is called leaf fat, LEAF, like a leaf on a tree. That is the fat that you find around the kidneys. If you render it into suet or tallow, you can use it. It's very stable. It is very high in saturated fat and it is excellent for cooking. Now you can cook with any of these, but that is going to give you the best. I use that when we're going to deep fat fry fish, and I do mine with nothing on it, just the fish down in the oil. He puts breading stuff on his and puts it in there, but it works very well. Takes very high heat, can clean it out and use it several times, probably 6 times at least that we've used it. So I really like the leaf fat for that. I prefer to eat ribeye fat. So if any of you watch me, you know that I eat close to a pound, half a pound to a pound of ribeye fat every single day, crispy fried with the Redmond's real salt. I'm not against using Baja, not any of the good salts that are mineralized. I just choose, and I bought a ton of the Redmond salt because I'm also a prepper. Next thing is bone marrow, which is loaded with a lot of fat and a lot of nutrients, and it helps support our immune system and our joint health. Egg yolks, of course, and butter. They are packed with soluble vitamins, fat soluble vitamins A, E, D, and K2, which we all need the K2. We especially need the K2 and D3. I still will forever supplement with K2, D3 until my vitamin D level is to a point where they say I have to stop. I don't do real high amounts. I just do the 5,000 and the 100 microgram of the K2. And there's times where I'll do it 3 times a week. Sometimes I'll do it 5 times a week, but I will always do that. I will do it every day during the winter, even though I am outside quite a bit. I still will do that for myself, just because of how important it is for hormones, immune system, all the things, and then our bones. I like to keep my teeth right where they are. Ribeye fat is definitely tastier and it is easier to eat daily, while leaf fat is more neutral and better for your cooking. Like I said, both really are great. It just depends on what your needs are. I tend to cook up the ribeye fat and eat that. Some of the tallow that I render off is leaf fat, and some of it is the leaf fat. Um, and I have found very neutral. They're very neutral, easy to put into a lotion. You can just put it on your skin, literally straight on your skin. I just prefer lotion where I add some like castor and some other really good ingredients. And then I do different scents. I do male scents like cedar wood. I have all kinds, vanilla, lavender, harvest spice is my favorite one this time of year. Would you describe it? It's a something between a ginger snap and a pumpkin pie. It is really, I love it. It just smells very seasonal. Okay. So, how your body uses fat. And this is once you have got yourself fat adapted. So, that does take some transition time, and everybody is completely different. I think, we get that in our mind. We've listened to that since 70s, 80s, and 90s, especially low fat, low fat, low fat, that got us so scared that everybody, as soon as you start to put some extra fat in your brain, your body, your brain's like, oh, cardiac disease. And I'm like, so not true. So not true. Old cardiac nurse here. I promise you, not the case. Not the case. The people who came in had the most damage to their arteries or were having strokes had very low LDL, high triglycerides, no vitamin D, and a crappy immune system. And they were the ones that had to have 5-way bypasses, which, for years you might hear of a 3-way bypass, then it kind of quadrupled. Now you got it all. Everything is what we're seeing people being bypassed. So, energy, especially when you are very low carb, fat is going to be the first fuel that the body wants to break down, turn it into ketones, because that's the cleanest energy source. So you can get energy out of glucose, but it has a lot of crap left behind. Okay. So think of it as kindling. It lights up very fast, but then it peters out and you just got all that stuff left behind. Ketones are like a charcoal, where if you finally get it up to temp, it's steady, steady, steady. And when it's all done and burn out, it's ashes and it's gone. That is basically kind of how I think about the two. Hormones. This is super, super, super important, especially for the ladies. Not telling you men that you guys don't count because you do, but cholesterol from the fat is the building block for the sex hormones. Okay. So I'm going to say that one more time. That is the building block to produce all of your sex hormones. So just think about the 90s when you saw all these ladies and you'd see that they have a big cut, scar across their neck. And you're like, oh, what did they have done? Well, they had the thyroids taken out. They had adrenal fatigue. They had cortisol bump. They had all these things. And it was like, yeah, they were not eating any fat and their body was sitting there trying to do what it could, and after a while, all of these glands take an abuse and they're like, we're just done. They just quit. And when those kind of things happen, that's when you see a lot of cancer starting in those kinds of tissues because, they're dysregulated. Sleep. Sleep. Fat really, really helps with sleep. I've had a lot of people that were insomniacs, and I'm like, you don't have to eat a big meal, 2 hours before bed. But if you can have some of that ribeye fat cooked up or some people eat ribeye fat raw. Okay. Dr. Kiltz eats a lot of fat raw. I've done it a couple times, but I prefer to have mine cooked. Um, but even butter, just like a nice, like 1 tablespoon of butter cut, pop it in the mouth, do that before, an hour before bed, can help you with your sleep. It helps regulate your blood sugar and it supports you having a deeper sleep because it's a stable fuel and it stays like that. Especially diabetics. This is something I work with a lot of my patients is adding fats into their diet as they're trying to transition to a lower carb way of eating. Um, for a myriad of different reasons. That's not the only one. Your immune system. So fats like omega-3 or CLA and saturated fats, they help reduce inflammation and they support immune cell membranes. They support cell membranes of every cell. Okay. The myelin sheath that is around your nerves, all your neurons, all these cells, they have a layer of fat. Some have two layers. So myelin sheath is a double layer of fat. Um, Another one is vitamin absorption. So as we talked about, A, E, D, and K are fat soluble. So you have to have a fat with those. That way you can absorb those better. So that is one thing that I would say we saw the most during COVID was the ones who did the worst were not the diabetics, were not necessarily the kidney people, wasn't the coronary artery diseased people, wasn't the super fat, wasn't the super skinny, wasn't 90, wasn't 40. It was the people who had the lowest vitamin D, lowest immune system, and the lowest LDL did the worst. And you can go out there and dig that information up. You will find it. They make it a little hard, but it's out there. And we knew it as nurses. We could stand outside the room and be like, yeah, that's a 23-year-old who has no cholesterol, no vitamin D. They're not coming off the vent, I'll bet you. And this one is 78 and has high cholesterol, and their LDL is 180, and their vitamin D level is really good. They're probably going to come off. And that's exactly what would happen. And we saw it time and time again, which is sad, but it is. Let's see. I'm going to try to catch up on some comments here. I don't want to leave anybody out. Sharon says hello. Let's see. Beth says hello. Hey, Songbird Amy. Yes, we should have Amy sing on here sometime. We should bring her in and have her sing. Let's see. I feel left out. And Juliet, yep. I eat a spoonful of butter before bedtime. Good, Sandy. Yeah, I really think that makes a big difference. I've worked with a couple ladies that were already menopausal that had horrific sleep. And there was a couple things that I worked with them. One was knowing what their cortisol level was. So they did a Dutch test, which is a urine test. And just like I thought, their cortisol was through the roof. So we had to come up with some things for them to calm. get rid of some of the stresses. You can't avoid all the stress, but it's how you take it in sometimes. So a lot of times people are scrolling through doomsday stuff and I'm like, put it down, quit looking at it. Look at the cute little cat videos. Not that you don't want to know what's going on out there, but sometimes you don't have to know it 24/7 all the time because that can drive you just batty. So but those people I worked with that they either do butter, one does like a hot tea with some MCT oil in it, and then the other cooks up ribeye fat and loves ribeye fat. So just pops a couple of those about an hour before bed, and off she goes sleep. So, and it I've seen really, really good benefits with that. The other thing that is just I know this sounds crazy, but the other thing that I have seen carnivore and keto, as long as it's higher fat, is the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease turnaround. I'm talking 3 months. 3 months. I am seeing people's livers go from looking like cauliflowers growing out of both of the lobes, okay, to 3 months later, it's as smooth as a brand new baby's. I mean, 3 months that the body will heal that if you quit taking in the carbs and the junk sugar. It's just crazy, um, how fast you can turn stuff around. It's amazing. Morning, best time of day to eat fat. They say a lot of people like to do it in the morning if you're not fasting in the morning. So most of the time, I do not eat in the morning. I usually fast. If I'm going to have some fat, it will be usually for myself. I do like Coco Loco, salty electrolytes, hot water, make it like a hot chocolate almost. And I'll put a teaspoon of MCT oil in it along with my collagen and stuff. Um, and of course, my Lugol's iodine I put in there. So that's what I have found works great for me. Um, Fat fuels you steadily without like blood sugars. You know how you spike up and then your insulin kicks it down and then and you're back and forth. Um, if you're fasting or doing OMAD, that's when I would do the majority of my fat. But like I said, if you're having sleeping trouble, I would definitely work on taking some before you go to bed. So if you're taking it in the evening, fat can support hormone production, which of course we do a lot of that at night when we're getting our rest. It's going to help you get deeper sleep, um, but you have to be mindful. You need to see if it causes you any digestive upset. Because if you are not completely fat adapted, that can do that. And when I say fat adapted, I think where I want you to think about what I mean by that is if you sat down and ate half a stick of butter, or if you ate, like the ribeye fat, half a plate of ribeye fat, is it causing you to run to the bathroom and have diarrhea? If it's still doing that, then you're not ready. You're not fat adapted yet. And that can take a while. You can do it with egg yolks and stuff like that. But you have to get the whole body knowing these carbs are not coming in. We are going to do fat and we're going to do protein for right now. And then, like I always say, I'm not saying everybody needs to be carnivore, but I think keto, especially clean keto, works great for a lot of people. And I want everybody to get back to whatever their best is on that. But I want you to heal the things that you need to heal. And most of the time, you've got to really clean up the diet to get it to there. Um, Many carnivores do well with their largest fat protein mid to late afternoon. And I would say that's what I find. I find most of the time after I'm done seeing patients and I go back to the office and I put all my information into the computer because I do not take one of these little laptops into the patient's house. I think it's extremely rude and the people in my area do not like it. So I do it the old fashioned way. I take a little teeny notebook. I do shorthand of what we're doing, what I've got, and then take it back. And so I usually get back to the office like today, it was like 2:30. Now I did not eat at all today. I'm fasted until I get done on here. And I'll be making some ribeye fat. Actually, it's cooking on low. My husband's keeping an eye on it. And then hamburger. And I was doing that because I was trying to get a little sinus infection. And so I fast when I feel like I'm trying to fight something like that, I fast. If it wouldn't have started feeling better, I wouldn't be eating tonight. I would fast even longer until I felt like I got all the benefit that I needed to. So, and if you don't know a lot about fasting, one of the best resources, I'm so glad I bought his book many, many, many moons ago, is Dr. Jason Fung, Fung. Dr. Berg, Berg. He has wonderful information too. So those are things. Um, Another thing, if you want like very pure fat, you can render down your own tallow. You can do it from the leaf fat or from the ribeye fat. And the way I do it is I cook fat the way I tell you. I cut it into 1 inch pieces and then I strain it off. And then I put that, I save that in glass jars on the counter. And then weekly, I take all of them and I usually have many, many of them full. I put them into a saucepan and I bring it up to just a very low rolling boil, just a little bit. And then I allow that to do that for just depends how much I have in there. Could be 20 minutes, could be an hour. I basically do it till the top has like the bubbles are kind of like caramel colored on top. Once you do that, all those solids have been cooked out. And then I strain it and then I put it in a jar and then lid and ring it just like you would. Turn it upside down for 3 minutes, turn it back over, and it seals and it's good. So prioritize unrendered fat for flavor, satiety, so being full longer, and nutrition. And you can mix it up. You can use, like I've done that yesterday. I had some ribeye fat, I made a hamburger, and then I put 2 egg yolks in the pan and let them a little bit cook. They were almost like a cheese consistency, and that's what I had yesterday. And that I was super full. I did not feel like I needed anything else. Um, so hopefully you got some information with this to understand how fats work in our body. Remember, just look up how much fat is made, does the brain make up of fat? Just go say the brain is made up of what percentage of cholesterol fat? And then ask yourself, why should any human being, other than you just had a heart surgery or you just had a stent for 1 month, should you be taking anything to block those after that time period? You should not. You also shouldn't be eating the standard American diet. So I'm going to go over what we're going to talk about next Monday. So this is called megacystic microcolon intestinal hyperperistalsis syndrome. Woo! So MMIHS is the name of that. So this is a rare congenital birth defect that I'm going to go over. I have had 2 people ask me to go over that. So I'm wondering how rare it is now because I mean, I have like 4,100 people that are subscribers to my channel, and 2 have said, "Hey, they have this," or one is a child, one is them. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I've only taken care of one person, and that was as a CNA many, many, many moons ago that had this. So yes, I will go over that next week. Some of the things that you can do to kind of help um, get it turned around for yourself. So yes, we will go over that next week. Tomorrow night, I will be on Keto Cookout. It'll be 7:30 standard Central Standard Time with Russ, which is Homesick Buckeye. I was watching his Buckeyes yesterday and then I fell asleep. I don't know who won, but don't tell him that. And then, like I said, Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be on Kiltz's Live with Dr. Nelson. So definitely come there and ask questions. He's super smart. I love to pick his brain. Love it. Hey, Karen, how are you? Sandy says she's taking notes. Notes are good. I like to take notes. Let's see. Ta-da. Karen, yep. Always informative. Well, thanks. That is good, even if I'm 69 years old. Yeah, you need it more than the 40-year-old. Absolutely. So, oxidation is just like metabolic breakdown of certain parts of us, and it happens. to everybody. But the older you are, the faster that happens, especially if you had a history of the standard American diet. You, I'm trying to think. So your cells, all your stuff is inside your cell, and it's got this nice little coating around it that's made up of cholesterol. Okay. And cell membrane. That has to be healthy to allow things to go in that are it's permeable to allow the things in that it wants to. It has to have insulin to unlock it to let glucose in. Ketones doesn't have to. It just goes right through it, okay? So if you have like just think of a burned area on there and it's not doing so well, a lot of times that cell's just going to die. But you can heal those areas by taking in the cholesterol and allowing your liver to produce the 85% it does every day and allow it to recoat. Just think of your phone wire. Let's say you have a wire plugged into your wall and you run it over with the vacuum and you scrape off some of that coating. That's the same thing. Think about what's around our nerves. So then the electricity doesn't want to run through there anymore because now you've opened up a spot and the electricity shoots out, can cause a fire. In us, it just shoots out wrong and then it can cause a lot of these plaques to build up, these protein plaques trying to protect it like a scar tissue because it's not supposed to be outside of that. It's supposed to run like this. That cholesterol is what goes in there and heals that. It's also what brings the immune cells to places and drops it off. That's LDL's job every day, all day long, trillions of times. So, yes, you need it at 69. 79, 89, 99. I have a 99-year-old right now that she loves her fat. That is a mouthful of a name, Simpson. I know, I know. So coach says I'm 61 and I eat lots of fat and I'm in the absence of carbs. You use fat for energy and brain health. You are right. Need to bug my husband. Thanks for the info, Laura. You are welcome. Yes, Janice, I say bump up your fat as long as you're trying to get those carbs down low. I'm not sure how many carbs per day, or if you're trying to do zero carb, whatever it is you're doing. But I would bump that up a little every day, whether that be fat from like meat, fats, the extra fat, butter, coconut oil, MCT oil, any of that stuff, organic olive oil. Yeah, people are like, that's not carnivore. I don't care. I do not care. I do not care. Good oil is good oil, and bad oil is bad oil. So that is what I have to say about that. Zero carb. Good. Perfect. Well, then, yes, you definitely want to start increasing the fat. Otherwise, what you can cause with that, if you're not taking in enough fat, and I did this myself for a full year on carnivore, I wasn't taking in enough fat for energy. So, one, I was tired, didn't feel like I was getting good workouts. Number two, my blood sugar actually kept going up. It'd be in the 80s, and I run in the 50s most of the time now, but it's been several years, so don't expect that. That's just, you know, 34 years I haven't taken in a sugar, so that's okay for somebody that's used to it. But I found that when I bumped up my fat, that my liver quit doing gluconeogenesis, where it converts protein into glucose for the body, because the body's going to be like, if I'm not getting enough from the fat and what you're eating, we're going to make it ourselves. We've got this weird little organ down there called the liver, and it's going to produce that for me. But once I started shifting and doing a higher fat, I was doing about a 40 to 60, 60 protein, 40 fat. Then I did 50-50 for a while. And then I found 80-20 really felt like where I felt my best. But then my blood sugar steadily just kept going back down. And I was like, that was it. I was doing gluconeogenesis to get energy. So, yes, I think you should absolutely try to start bumping those up. So anyway, I do appreciate you guys being here. Please check us out tomorrow night on either my channel or Homesick Buckeye for his antics and his singing. I won't be singing. I don't sing. It'll have to be Amy and Russ. You do not want to hear this sing. I can dance. That's it. That's all I can do. And shoot deer. That's my other talent. And start IVs on pinky toes. Otherwise, that's it. So I will definitely be back on Monday for sure. Like I said, tomorrow night, Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with Dr. Nelson on Kilts Live. So come check us out. As I always say, meet, heat, eat, and repeat. See ya.